Hi, this is Harish Chaudhry. I'm a professor at IIT Delhi, and I have been working here for now nearly 3 decades, teaching management courses to MBA students. I worked with industry for about 6 years before I joined academia, and have consulted for a large number of companies in areas of marketing, branding, strategy. Somewhere in my mid-40s, I started questioning myself that with my degree in engineering, management, my research, am I adding value to the society? Am I doing what is right? And I concluded that the only thing that matters in the progress of a society is education. So about 10 years back, I started looking at attempting to understand school education and what happens in the classroom. Having studied at the Doon School, I did not really have a feel of the issues and the problems of a regular day school, and for that matter even other boarding schools. Doon School is significantly patterned on international practices. However, we perhaps need to look at why is it that so many of our children don't seem to succeed in life, whereas we know that the average Indian student is brilliant. So about 10 years back, I started looking at international practices, read about it, saw a lot of films, videos, but something was missing. So I decided to visit some of the best schools in the world, in UK, in USA, in Australia, in Finland. And I've also had an occasion to conduct training programs for school leaders in the Middle East, Dubai, Kuwait, Qatar. And I noticed a significant difference between the style of teaching learning processes in the developed world and the developing world. That they have better infrastructure, more resources, is obvious. And that can be understood by, if I may say, secondary data, by looking at the pictures, by looking at the websites, by quantified data on spend. But it was the soft issues which are significantly different. So my first visit was to Liverpool, where we looked at Aldershot. We spent about a week there with the group of school leaders, and subsequently I made 2 more visits to Aldershot in my individual capacity to understand how are they different from what we do in India. There are a few things which stand out. The first and the foremost is the leadership style. The relationship of the head teacher, headmaster, principal, with the teachers, with the parents, with the children. The second, if I may say, a startling fact for me is that the average teacher in England, in US, in Australia, spend far more time per child and on the job, and do a lot more documentation, and are virtually in a position to comment on every child, designing individualized education plans, which many of our schools find difficult to do. Is the workload more? No. Are the systems more supportive? No. Are the processes better? No. It is the implementation which seems to make a world of a difference. In my first visit to the Australian schools in Victoria, I heard a comment from a teacher. I asked her, why do you do this job? And she said, I love my job. In that visit, I asked 14 teachers, school principals and administrators, why do they do the job they do? And I got the same answer. 9 of them said exactly the same words, I love my job. That passion, it shows in their work, in their style, in their commitment. Is there something missing in our systems? That's not to say that our schools are not excellent. Some of our schools are excellent. But somewhere, our systems and processes do not necessarily give the teachers a sense of pride and belonging. Specifically coming to Finland, a study by their Institute of Education Research that they shared with us suggested that 95% of their teachers believe that they are respected in the society. As a school, we may not be able to impact the society at large. And the school is a microcosm of the social structures around us. However, within our school system, what is it we can do to ensure that the teacher feels respected? How do you bring that in? The languaging, the softness, the very approach with the children has a very different feel. Now, some of it can be understood from the books, some of it can be understood from secondary sources, but it is very important to feel it, to sense it, and also to see and assess what is it we can change in our own processes, in our own systems. The process of assessments, the process of the dealing the teacher has with the children inside the classroom, the ramping up of the curricula. Now, these are some of the stark differences which I noticed, and the more I see, the more I feel. I may quickly add that what I saw in Nigeria, I conducted some programs and I was visiting Nigerian schools. What I saw in Qatar, what I saw in Kuwait, is so much Indian. So perhaps it's also a socioeconomic impact, and if I may say, our heritage. You see, we imbibed a system which the British gave us, and rightly, wrongly, we haven't changed it. The world has changed, the children have changed, the parents have changed, and whereas I believe now I'm in a position to discuss at some length as to what differentiates an excellent school from a less performing school, be that in the West or be that in the Far East. But the first-hand experience to me is critical, and also to build a sense of belief that yes, it can be done. Our aim is not to be the best school of our state or of our country. I'm looking at your schools becoming the best schools of the world, and therefore it's important to know what's happening around the globe. Thank you.